What's going on over yonder off-road? If you're new here, behind me is my 392 2022 Jeep Wrangler, and I'm going to do my long-term review on it. Let's get into it. So like I said, if you're new here, this is my 2022 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon with the 392 in it. So while I do this, I'm actually going to be removing, we're actually going to be removing my wheel spacers. We'll get into that later of why I'm doing that. I'm also going to be looking at my phone for notes because I can't remember everything that I wrote down to keep me on track. So like I said, I've had this thing for 2.5 years and I've gotten 32,000 miles out of it, just about 33. And in those 32 to 33,000 miles, we have gone all over the East Coast. As soon as we got it, we actually went all the way down to Florida, went down to Ocala National Forest, got that badge of honor. Aside from that, she's been to the beach numerous times. Carolina Beach, Myrtle Beach. We cruise down there about every year. And other than vacation road trips, she's been to Windrock twice. She's been to the Gulches in South Carolina. That's where a lot of my scratches on my rock sliders came from. And a lot of these big beauty marks on my wheels. She's been to Uwharrie, that's my home place. She's been to Uwharrie plenty of times. So with that being said, I have gotten all kinds of mileage underneath me with this Jeep. I have wheeled the crap out of it and I have long road tripped it. And in all those miles that I have put down, I've gotten plenty of differences in my miles to the gallon. Obviously with the big V8, you can expect putting around on a trail at 5 miles an hour or less in 4 low. She's gonna suck it down. Big girl drinks a lot. If you're backcountry roading it, you're gonna see the best mileage out of it. The big V8 can handle the big tires and it pushes them around with no problem. The extra horsepower and the extra torque make that easy. It doesn't struggle with high speed. It loves it just as much. I've seen as good as 15.3 to the gallon on this on a road trip before. That was with all the camping equipment in there. So loaded down is about as much as she can get. On the interstates, anything below about 77, it does pretty good. Anything over, which, you know, do that as you will, it does seem to go down. But normal interstate speed does pretty good. About 13.5 to 14 is where I've seen it pretty much all of its life. Now again, all of that does have to come into consideration of how heavy is your foot. In a Jeep as fun as this one, very hard to stay out of the throttle. The times that you can, it will treat you nicely. And it won't suck down the fuel as bad as you would think for a big V8. But then again, at the end of the day, who's buying one of these for gas mileage? 392 or not. We put big tires on them, we abuse them on the trail, and they drink fuel. It's just what it is. Now rounding that into the next category is comfort. All the seat time that we've had, how comfortable is this Jeep? Well, in my honest opinion, it's very comfortable for a Jeep. When I say very comfortable for a Jeep, I mean obviously it's not as comfortable as your grandmother's Cadillac. But as far as a Jeep Wrangler is concerned, myself and others I've heard it plenty of times that these are the most comfortable riding Jeep Wranglers there ever was. The suspension that they dialed into these things is phenomenal, and it makes for an amazing ride. Past the suspension aspect of it, the seat itself is very comfortable in my opinion. I had a Jeep Gladiator. I think that this seat is even more comfortable than that one was. The seat itself is beyond comfortable. You've got heated seats, you've got a heated steering wheel, you've got automatic cruise control, you've got lane or blind spot monitoring, whatever I'm trying to say. You've got plenty of bells and whistles in these things that make the ride much more enjoyable than most. So as far as overall comfort, I give it a Jeep Wrangler goes 10 out of 10. Doesn't get much better than this. I haven't had any issues with anything that I've had on here. I haven't wanted to upgrade to a different seat yet. My wheeling isn't that extreme to where I need some kind of a racing seat or racing harnesses. So as far as I'm concerned, the factory stuff is as good as it gets. The next thing I wanted to get onto was the reliability of the horsepower and torque out of these things. It's not every day where you drive around and you don't hit any blind spots or accidentally pull over somebody that's flying that you may not have seen. Well, in the standard Jeep Wrangler with big tires on it, you're not getting out of the way in a hurry. Well, one of these, your horsepower and torque are your best friend. You never have to worry about that. You give it a little mash, you're out of the way. All the horsepower and torque is definitely something you have to have great responsibility with, but it also keeps you safe in times when you really need it. All right, next up, moving right along. We're gonna go cargo space. Coming from a Gladiator into a Wrangler. I do miss my truck bed sometimes with not having to worry about getting it messy, but as far as packing away camping and all the gear that comes with it, and believe me, we have a lot, it's actually not bad. As long as you know how to pack pretty well, you can get just about anything you need to in the back of one of these things. For instance, we have a Gazelle T8 tent. So our tent is very large. I have to put it right here behind the passenger seat and catty corner just a little bit to even make it fit in the entire thing. And I even have to bring the seat up a little bit. Luckily my wife is short, so that helps out. But I will try to post some pictures in this video. I should be able to figure it out on the editing thing. I just now got a new editing app. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I'm pretty sure I can figure out how to crop in some pictures from when we last went camping up at Windrock when it was 20-some degrees. So we had all the blankets and all the clothes in the world, and this thing was packed to the max. Coolers, camping gear, some firewood at one point. Her dog we took to her parents for babysitting. All right, now the more important stuff. Upkeep cost. What does it cost to maintain one of these things? So every oil change I have done, it has cost me $100 to $115 for oil and an oil filter. Oh, I'm actually gonna leave this off. I need to take this part off. Other than that, I don't see it being any more expensive for anything else besides for normal upkeep. Brakes and stuff like that should still be the same as any other Jeep. It might be slightly different in part number. Obviously, these I do believe are slightly different. Could be wrong. Other than that, everything's pretty much standard as everything else is. Now let's get to the upgrades that I've done. We'll start right here where we're at. Inner fenders, Arctic Industries. Got rid of the plastic ones, got a little bit more clearance in there. These are tucked a little bit farther away. They look a little better. And I'll explain later why I'm removing these, but for now I'll keep going. LED fender chop lights. I got the Rugged Ridge version. And for some reason on this one, right here, my Jeep tells me that it's not working, but it does work. It doesn't hyper flash. It works as a running light and it works as a signal light. For some reason, my Jeep just tells me it doesn't work. Don't know why. I've checked everything. I've undone the wires completely. I've checked every wire. Everything looks good to me. There's just something that the Jeep doesn't like about it. Moving right along, I don't have any suspension upgrades. I'm on factory suspension. I did, however, upgrade in here. I have the Fox Racing Series steering stabilizer. I got it at 20,000 miles because the factory one puked all the oil out right before our wheeling trip in Kentucky. But right before we went for that trip, I was doing a check over and found that about 2 days before. So that was great. But that one is fully customizable. You can dial it in to be softer or more resistant. Next up, we have Moto Built's Crusher Series, I believe is what it's called, rock sliders. I got those sole purpose to beat on them. And actually, if you check out my latest video, which brings me to my next upgrade, rock lights. In my last video, I just resprayed all of these. They had rust spots everywhere from gulches, is where I mainly tore them up. Scraping them on rocks on a sandy bank. I probably had them on for all of a month and a half maybe, and I took it out there and scraped all the paint I just put on it right off of it. And then other than that, really the only upgrades that I've done is more skid plates. I've got skid plate right here where this jack is laying for the control arm, and I've got the same in the rear for the rear control arm lower and shock mount position, making sure that nothing bad happens when I ram it into a rock. This bolt's whipping my butt. And then lastly, an aesthetic. I have LB Design Works decals, those right there, the hood to match, and they actually sent me this custom sticker for my channel name. Very well done. And these right here. Of course, you got all these pretty bad boys. And after that, that is all the upgrades that I've done for this so far. Oh yeah, and the last upgrade that I've done, wheel spacers, the thing I'm taking off. We'll get there. And that brings us to upgrades I'd like to do. Now for now, I'm trying to keep this as basic as possible and trying to relate to the people more budget friendly as myself, as I say that with, you know, the 392. But without the 1-tons, without the huge suspension lifts, without the bead locks on 42s, I'm trying to relate to that crowd. So, upgrades I'd like to still do. I'd like to get Moto Built's Highline fenders that come out to about here instead of out here, so I can quit hitting these. Same for the rear bumper. I'd like to get one of their rear bumpers on. I still really want to get some more aftermarket lighting up in the front. I really miss my Gladiator and my TJ that I had so much aftermarket lighting on it. It was so bright at night from my back roads. It was just so much better than what I have on there. Just so picky, and I can't decide what I want, how I want to mount it, where I want to mount it. I've been really battling it since I bought this thing. All I put on it is a tiny 8-inch light bar in front of my winch. I would love to really get full belly skid plates. All I have is the factory stuff right now. It has taken abuse. I haven't really noticed anything that has gotten bashed that will be protected from a full belly skid plate, but there's a lot of possibilities, and you never want that to happen. And then I'd say, just to keep it before my massive upgrades that really bump me above, maybe some RCV axles. And after that, if I ever decide to go real big boy with it, obviously 1-tons, 40s, bead locks, which these are the bead lock capable wheels. These are just your bead protector here. And then you can buy the bead ring for this to make these true bead locks. And finally, that brings us to the most important part for people who don't already have one or don't care. The weaknesses of the 392. And no, I'm not going to say there isn't any, because there are. First one, and was the one that I found as soon as I took it to my first off-roading trail, is the transfer case. Now, if you haven't never done your research on these, and you are unaware, the transfer cases they put on these are different than any other Wrangler. These have a 2.72 to 1 transfer case. What most other Wranglers have, which is a 4 to 1. This is a 2.72 to 1. Therefore, this does not crawl anywhere near as slow as a standard Wrangler. The first time I put it in 4 low and let off the brake, I thought I was shot out of a cannon. You know, exaggerating, but it is something you have to get used to. Just wrap all this up, speed time right here, because I'm losing the light. The suspension travel. This factory suspension, the droop on these are terrible, absolutely terrible. They do not flex like you would want them to. That is where I found a lot of limitations of this Jeep, especially in big rock situations. If you need any kind of a reference point, go back to my Trail 15 video. You have more exhaust on these underneath and out the back that you need more skid plates for to protect. You don't want to hurt those. That's quite the big fix if you do happen to put one of those into a rock. I do have a muffler protection one, but I don't have the tips protected any, and I have skint mine on one. Luckily didn't crush it, but it has skint it before. And all the exhaust that runs through the middle part of the Jeep right through here, not protected by anything. If a rock gets up in there just right, it'll shoot straight through it. And on to my next point, trail damage. What have I messed up on this? Well, starting with my first trail damage, Trail 16, I ran this right into a tree root at the top of that rock step. If you want to find that, it's on my channel as well. I do have it zip tied down. I could probably pull this off and rebend it down to make it fit right, but I did just zip tie it to pull it down into a place a little bit. It still functions just like it should, and you can still see it plenty through this little slit, so nothing to worry about there. All the bashing on rocks, on skid plates and everything like that doesn't matter. You can just go ahead and assume what the underbody looks like. Bring it back to here, I will show you, yes, Trail 15. This isn't really damaged, but it did scuff it. I had this onto the bank. Video is on my channel. This also pushed into here and rubbed scratches into that. Every single wheel I have looks about like this. Black Mountain, Kentucky. Can't remember what the name of the trail was whenever we were here, but I believe that tire pushed up on a rock on the bank, and then this tire helped break it all the way out with these side biters, and then the rock fell off of the bank and rested on my fenders. Video is on my page as well. Which finally brings us to our topic. Why am I taking off these wheel spacers, and why did I just take off my inner fender on the other side? Because she's going to the dealership tomorrow for some warranty problems, or warranty claims, if you will. Oh yeah, I don't know where this came from. Some damage, some trail. Not sure where that. That right there, your power steering. On these, it is known that they are underpowered The pressure is not what they need to be by the information that I have gathered, and they get hot, they burn up their ECU. If anybody else knows more than me, please comment below, and or before I post this, I will be going there and getting the information back and letting you guys know. So after this is where we'll jump to that, and I will let you guys know what happened, because as far as I know, they may or may not be replacing it. They have to determine whether it's replaceable first. It may or may not even be getting replaced. That's to be determined. They have to figure out exactly what's wrong and then see what the engineers tell them to do. So that's great. But my warranty is about to expire, so it has to go now. And to round this out, we will bring it up to the thrill of daily driving. This is my daily driver. I do have a work vehicle, but I do drive this pretty much every day. Sometimes it sits more than a few days, but as a daily driver, it is the absolute most amazing thing I have ever driven as a daily in my entire life. I've had Mustangs, I've had other Jeeps. This is by far my favorite vehicle ever. Even with the power steering issue, as a new vehicle, luckily, still under warranty. But daily driving, something with as much power and torque as this thing has, as big as it is, as well as it drives for what it is, it blows me away. The things that it can do and how it feels when you smash into the throttle, how it handles, how it rides, all of the above. It has been by far my favorite vehicle I've ever owned, and I do not regret buying it whatsoever. So there's my honest review. Is it worth it? Yes. I tell people all the time, it's crazy that you can air down these big tires, you can go into the woods, beat the ever-living crap out of it, air the tires back up, and then go down the road and mash the gas and unleash all the power that it has. And it doesn't even bat an eye. And not only that, can you do all that fun things, all the off-roading, all the speed, but you also still get to take the doors and the top off, which is just cool. If you don't think so, you're lying. It just takes care of you from start to finish, lets you beat on it, doesn't bat an eye, keeps on going. And that's pretty much it. If I think of anything else, I'll put it in the comments below. If you think of anything that I didn't strike on and you want to ask, put it in the comments. I'll answer it as soon as I can. But other than that, it's getting dark on me. I can't feel my toes. I'm gonna go get some dinner. Okay, over yonder off-road, we are on the way to the dealer. I'm getting a voltage drop while stationary when there's steering input, and a big voltage drop, about down to 12.3, might have seen 12.1. Not sure why. This power steering does have a little bit more stiffness to it at low speeds. If you do input steering play before you start rolling to help it along. So I'm taking it to the dealer. I'm at 32,956 miles. My warranty expires at 36,000. So I'm getting it there before that is over with, and then I'm on my own with trying to figure this out. Hopefully they can get it figured out and they will approve the warranty and replace it while it's there. When I spoke with one of the gentlemen on the phone, he did say that they may have to open up a case on it and talk to the engineers, and they will have to tell them what to do from there. So hopefully it gives them enough problem to where they say, okay, let's replace it. Guys, here's what I mean. I just got to the dealership. So that 14.2, give it a little bit of play. Let me dive bomb. And it will recover. It starts fine, it drives fine, but it is having a hissy fit. Oh yeah, see? And I've only got the wheel turned that much. All right guys, so I got the Jeep back. Here's what happened. Nothing. Kind of what we figured was gonna happen. There's no codes in the vehicle whatsoever. They could not replicate the slow speed turning issue that I was having, which it was very random, very intermittent. Once in a blue moon, I'd be at parking lot speed and it would just go complete dead steering wheel. They couldn't replicate it. Obviously it's hard to do that with something as random as it was. They noticed the voltage drop, but Chrysler doesn't care about the voltage drop and says that's normal because the power steering unit draws 150 amps of charge or power whenever you do stuff like this. So it says the voltage drop is normal. I don't really think so, my mechanical experience, but yeah, so nothing got done. We're gonna try again, maybe closer to the warranty end, and we'll go from there.
No door opening for me or anything? I mean, what is this?
So yeah, that's all she wrote. They couldn't do anything for me this time around, so hopefully before my warranty expires, I can take it up there and maybe they can get it to replicate what I'm experiencing and get it swapped out under warranty right before it ends. If not, if it does ever go kaput's on me, then I guess it's hydro assist. That's all for now. Per usual, like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.